Hi, my name is Victor Pidkowicz and I live in Calgary, Alberta. Like most people, I just want to enjoy time with friends and family and have a fulfilling life and travel the world. But about 9 years ago, I started getting really ill and I had basically pain all over my body and my temperature was never quite right. I had a really hard time thinking and concentrating. I went from being a 200-pound pretty lean guy down to about 130 pounds very quickly, and I was extremely weak. Just picking up a glass of water seemed to be a difficult task, and it got to a point where I couldn't even work. So basically, I started like anyone else would. I went to my family physician, and they said that I had a UTI, urinary tract infection, and this definitely wasn't the case because it didn't matter what they gave me; nothing worked. So I started getting referred off to specialists, and they investigated everything. They looked at MRIs, we did dozens of CTs and ultrasounds, blood, urine, all this stuff. Did all these different tests, and the best they could come up with was that I had kidney cancer. For about 2 years, I kind of lived in this fear. I'm 19 years old, thinking that I had cancer. And then basically this one meeting with the urologist I was seeing, I happened to glance over his shoulder and I seen that he was reading the wrong chart. And I questioned him on it and he didn't like that too much. He said some nasty things, and then I've never really been into another urologist's office, and later found out that I didn't have kidney cancer. It was just the shape of my kidney. It's just how I was born. But they're basically telling me to just remove it. So Still, that left me with this question of what's going on, and I've seen multiple specialists, and it just basically seemed like my whole life went on pause from that time when I just started getting really ill, and I stopped socializing with people. All traveling stopped. I couldn't really eat or drink much. Alcohol, just could not handle any alcohol, and I just basically pulled myself into my shell, because no one really seemed to understand. Friends and family just couldn't understand what's going on. You look normal, but what's going on? They just had no idea. And the worst thing I absolutely hated, was on Christmas when they would ask, well, what do you want for Christmas? And it was just it just seemed like such a dumb question, especially at that time. Material things became just very, they weren't important anymore, and the only thing I really wanted was just to feel better. I just became really fearful of what was going on. It could get even worse. How fast could it get worse? I became really angry at the medical system. They just couldn't do anything. I mean, I had people completely abandon me who said that they would be there to work with me, and I just felt extremely hopeless and isolated, very lonely for years. But I think the worst part was the uncertainty clawing at the back of my mind, just wondering what exactly was going on. But I just kept being hopeful. Even though I felt hopeless, I just kept thinking there's got to be something out there. I mean, I see these people, I'm meeting people that are getting healed, and people that do have cancer, overcoming it even in later years. And I just kept searching and looking. And then one day I finally got referred. I got this referral basically to this guy named Corey Deacon at Neurvana Health. At first I was a little bit hesitant because I've heard so many referrals, family, I listened to all that at first. I went down and spent a lot of money with the private industry, basically naturopaths, traditional Chinese medicine, osteopaths, massage, Reiki. It was just, I've seen everyone, even voodoo, witch doctors pretty much. And at that point I had spent about $250,000 roughly on private means, and not to include the lost time from work and things like this. I ended up selling my home, sold some other assets, and just nothing really mattered except just figuring out what was going on and then how to get better. So I was really hesitant to continue going down this path of just paying people and not getting results. But I thought, whatever, let's give them a call. Let's just see what they've got anyways. You never know. And I'm actually really excited that I did, because I found out that Corey basically had his own struggles as well. And he had been there and done that. And he knew exactly what works. And it definitely wasn't the conventional medicine. basically on that phone call, I got more actionable advice and insight than I had in the last 7 years of searching and looking all by myself, researching online and going and meeting different specialists and different private modalities and just that 30 minutes, it was unbelievable how much we packed into it, how much was specific and actionable to me. He basically showed me what was likely occurring, how we could approach to fix it, and why really conventional medicine had failed. Before we could fix things though, we kind of had this little speed bump. It wasn't that big of a deal, that we had to do some really expensive tests. Basically I had to decide whether or not I was still worth investing in. And it came down to me and my own decision really. And I mean, it was really a no-brainer. It was kind of like a pause because I've spent way so much with other people. But I realized like if he's able to do that in 30 minutes just talking to him, I mean, just imagine what's going to happen when I can resource him. And so I went forward and I did all the tests. Even though I didn't have the cash at the time, it wasn't readily available, but I found a way to do it. And what happened next was basically my life came off a pause. We found the real reason of why I was suffering. And it turned out that it was a co-infection of Lyme disease. And this is what everyone else had been missing. They hadn't been looking at the whole picture. They missed this. This was it, and so they missed that. Even with private tests that I did do, they weren't even performed the correct way, and Corey was able to do that. So I had an immediate renewed sense of hope, and it just felt like this massive weight lifted off my shoulders. Basically since then I've felt better than I have in nearly a decade of working with moron doctors, lots of lost sleep, and like just basically bone crushing alienation from everyone. I'm very grateful to Corey and the team at Neurvana. Basically without them I would still be chasing my tail, spending a lot of time and money, and basically working on things that didn't get any results. Anyone that I encounter, and I've encountered all sorts of people that have health challenges. Everyone has their health challenges. I definitely recommend, even especially those that are going and seeing conventional means, go call Corey and his team. They're probably going to shock you just like they did for me.